Good evening, everybody. Well, at least it's evening for me. I'm Elwood from Passion for Film, and today I'm going to be talking about Donnie Darko. Alright? I did say in my previous videos that I might do Donnie Darko next, so I thought it's only fitting to stick to my word, and here we are. Alright, first I'm going to talk a little bit about my sort of history with this film, I suppose. So, a little bit of backstory. In my house, my parents have this big old cabinet with a lot of DVDs. I think I counted it one time when I was a bit younger. I think we have like 400 or something. Let me know in the comments if you've got more than that, because that's fairly impressive. But one of those DVDs was, or well, still is, Donnie Darko. And when I was younger, I saw this DVD and it kind of scared me. It terrified me quite a bit, okay? It's a pretty scary cover, I guess. But my dad said it was a good film, so I decided to watch it. And I took the DVD to my own portable DVD player for my computer. But for some reason, the DVD didn't work. I don't know. I've tried it multiple times and it just doesn't work. Let me know if you've got any knowledge on why that would happen. But it didn't work on my own DVD player. So one day I took it to my DVD player in my family room and bingo, it did work. Okay, so I think it was April this year, I finally got around to watching Donnie Darko for the first time. All right, the first thing I noticed in this film, it is a bit of a strange thing to start off with, but I think it's actually the first shot of the whole film. We come up and we see Donnie Darko, and he's sort of lying on the road, I think, or next to the road. But we look over across this valley, and you can see all of these mountains. And it might just be me or the way they shot it, or maybe it's true. But I thought there was something weird about it. I thought it looked like CGI, like the mountains in the distance were CGI. I don't know. In fact, I might look that up after this and find out, because it was very interesting how my brain instantly thought, hang on, that doesn't look right. Strange indeed. All right. I was interested in this film because I'm a young actor myself, and this was one of Jake Gyllenhaal's first films when he was a lot younger. I wanted to see how he sort of does things, and if there's anything I can sort of take, any inspiration I can take from him playing somebody that's, around my age, which is something interesting because I bet he was probably like 19, 20, not the year, 19 or 20 years old he was probably during that film, but I can't actually remember. I think he's probably playing a 16-year-old, which is how old I am right now. But yeah, it's always crazy how they get these actors that are way older to play it, and it just does not look accurate at all. Okay. I found this out from watching Jake Gyllenhaal. Okay, so shout out to Jake Gyllenhaal there. But I found out that I really enjoy watching characters with mental issues. Okay? What an interesting thing that just left my mouth. Okay, because Gyllenhaal in all of his roles that I've seen him in, he plays people with mental problems, which maybe that's his typecast, I'm not sure. But in Nightcrawler, he plays a psycho, and I sort of did a bit more research on that, and I sort of found out he was a psycho, maybe autistic as well, but definitely a psycho from the captions I've seen on other people's videos. And in Spider-Man Far From Home, which he plays the bad guy in that. He plays Mysterio. He's super obsessive and he's sort of crazed about getting revenge on Tony Stark or whatever for firing him. I don't know. So he's sort of got a bit of mental issues there. I mean, I assume all villains have mental issues, because they're villains. but in Southpaw, which I want to watch again so that I can give you guys a little talk about Southpaw, because I remember I really enjoyed that film. But it's been a while since I've watched that. I believe he has anger issues in that. I might be wrong. Let me know if I'm wrong. But yeah, it's a long time since I've watched it, so sorry about that. And then in Donnie Darko, of course, he plays someone who is a schizophrenic. I think, maybe. That's what I assume. I could be wrong, and somebody in the comments could go, "Oh no, he's actually got this other thing, and he's got insomnia or something, and he can't sleep, and that's why he's up at night and he finds somewhere else." Because, in the film you sort of see him, he's kind of half asleep, and he's got this weird sort of those sleepy eyes with that creepy smile he does. It's super, super unnerving. It's really creepy. But yeah. Another thing from this film, I've actually taken quite a lot of inspiration from this film, okay? Because I want to, as I said in my previous video, I'm a filmmaker, and I want to direct a feature film before I am 20? No, I don't know, 20, 25. I don't know, what seems like an age that's sort of, I guess, achievable, for one, but will also make me look better because I'm super young. Because I kind of want that young achiever. You know what I'm talking about? I feel like when you're doing something and you're younger, it's more impressive. So I want to direct a feature before I'm 25. Okay, let's say 25. I want to direct a feature before I'm 25. Okay, but I doubt I'm going to get all of this funding to do all this crazy stuff. So I was taking a lot of inspiration from this film because it is quite a low budget. Everything is sort of simple, I guess. It is an out there idea that sort of brings that crazy story, and the fact that the idea is so well out there, I suppose. But well, I don't know if simple's the right word, but there's no crazy blockbuster action sequences and stuff like that. But it's all stuff that, well, most of it would be achievable on a low budget, something I could do myself. So I was taking a lot of inspiration from that, and I found it very interesting how it is sort of fueled by that interesting story. And it doesn't really matter that it doesn't have all of these crazy visuals and stuff like that. I mean, I didn't really mind at all. I'm sure a lot of new gen people, these Gen Z, am I right, guys? Gen Z? No, they would probably get bored, but I found it quite good. Everything's sort of out there. I feel like I've said the word out there 3 times, but I like it. Who's the weird character that's telling him to do this stuff? A creepy bunny suit. All right. Why? Why? I'll tell you why. Because it's way more interesting and way more memorable than just having an actual person being this person who's telling him to do all of this stuff. I don't know, what would you call it? The person that they see in their delusions, I suppose. Or what's it, their visions, because they're schizophrenic. I don't know. I really hope I'm not sort of making fun of schizophrenic people, but I'm talking about the film context here. Okay, guys? But yeah, I found it super cool how they stuck with this thing, and they made it super, not over the top at all, but they just made very specific decisions. Okay? All right. As I mentioned in my previous video, I watched this basically, was it the day after? No, I think I watched it 2 days or so after I watched it the first time, just because I found it so interesting. All right. I sat down and I thought, okay, what film am I going to watch? And then I was like, okay, I really enjoyed Donnie Darko, which I watched 2 days ago. Why don't I watch it again? So it's very few films ever make me do that, but that's how you know it's a good film. It gets the approval from Elwood there. First time around, and this is something I explained in a previous video before about how I am not very good at picking up on stuff and I sometimes have to Google stuff afterwards. But yeah, the first time I watched it, a lot of stuff didn't make sense. Well, it's mainly towards the ending. You know, I'm not very good at picking it up. And I went and Googled afterwards. I literally Googled Donnie Darko ending just to hope somebody on Reddit maybe had posted an explanation because it didn't make much sense to me. But when I found out what the ending was, well, which it's hard because it's not like I'm just stupid and I didn't get it. It's just I was tossing between different options of what it could be and I just wasn't sure which one was correct. But after Googling it, it made me appreciate the film probably more the second time around, or even just after Googling it, because then I started to notice all of the little hints that they sort of dropped that I didn't pick up on the first time. But I just thought it was very clever. And I kind of like the fact that I had to Google it because, well, it's a good tactic from them, I suppose. They didn't want to dumb it down, and fair play to them. That's good. You don't want to dumb things down, all right? Because, well, it wasn't a kid's film, first of all. But yeah, I feel like when they try and dumb things down, like all of your big company films now, not naming any companies, but I'm sure you know what company I'm talking about. But it was kind of a good tactic from them because they made a good enough film as to where if you didn't get it, you would want to find out. You would want to find out what the ending meant. You wouldn't just go, that was a shit film. Made no sense. And then just leave it. You'd go, oh, that was a super interesting film. I want to find out what that ending meant. And then you would Google it. And then maybe you'd do what I did in that case and you would watch it over again. Because that was part of the reason why I watched it for that second time a couple days later. Is just because now I have the understanding of what's going on. I can come into that with that knowledge and watch it again and pick up on more stuff. But every time you watch a film, you pick up on more and more stuff. All right, I've watched certain films probably 50 times. No, I'm joking. That was a major exaggeration. But I feel like the more times you watch things, the better it gets because you just notice these things that you'd never have noticed before. And it just makes that film all the more interesting. You know, it kind of sounds, going back to what I was saying before, it kind of sounds like I'm contradicting myself because of what I said. I think it was in my Nightcrawler video about how I don't want things to be mind-boggling, and then I sort of saying that I liked that this was mind-boggling, sorry, but I don't know, it wasn't a mind-boggling thing. It was just me not fully understanding. It wasn't a crazy thing that, like, you know, I just had no idea what happened there. I was just sort of tossing up between the different things it could have been, and I wasn't really sure. All right. Now, I really liked the soundtrack of this film. There are a lot of songs. Well, I say a lot of songs. There are a couple of songs in this that now, for the rest of my life, probably, whenever I hear those songs, I'm instantly going to think of Donnie Darko. And think about how great that is for the makers of that film. For the rest of my life, I will listen to a song and think about that film. That is great. But they all sort of fitted the vibe of the film so perfectly. Anyway, I have a little story about this, okay? So the first time, or maybe it was the second time. I think it was the second time, actually. The second time I watched that film that evening, and then the next morning I woke up to an Instagram DM from my godfather, okay? And he sent me an Instagram reel, and it was just a video of a band playing a song. And it was The Killing Moon by Echo and the Bunnymen, which is one of the songs from that film. So I was sort of listening to this and then thinking, hang on, I recognize this song. What's it from? Wait a minute. It's from the film I just watched last night. And you got to bear in mind, my godfather has never sent me anything before. He reacts to my stories sometimes with those sort of, I don't know, not emojis, they're the Instagram emojis where it's like a depiction of him. It's kind of weird, but they it wasn't not kind of weird. I mean, they could look kind of weird, but he's never sent me anything before. This is the first time he's ever sent me anything, and it was this crazy coincidence. So that was weird. And also the fact that, because I didn't know the name of the song because I only heard it from the film. But then when I found out it's the band name, I guess, of the people who play that song, Echo and the Bunnymen. What is the main thing or one of the main characters in Donnie Darko? It is a bunny man, I guess you could say. He is a man in a bunny costume, a bunny man. But yeah, is that a coincidence? I don't know. Maybe they chose it because of that. Who knows? But yeah. And what I was saying before was the songs fit the vibe of the film perfectly. Okay? That song, as well as, what is it, Head Over Heels by Tears for Fears? Yeah, they fit the film vibe so incredibly well. It's very clever, and it's one of the best films to do that, I think. A lot of films have their own original scores and stuff, which is obviously why it fits the film, you know. But for an actual soundtrack, this was quite frankly amazing. All right. Something else, I really liked the romance in this film. I'm not really one for a romance film. Is that what they're called? I guess it is a romance film. But I found myself liking more and more romance stuff, I guess. And I really liked the romance in this film because it seemed so, what's the word? Pure? Natural, I guess. It seemed so pure and natural. Not like, I guess, the way it would happen in my generation. What I was talking about before, the new gens, the Gen Zers, the new gens. But yeah, it just seems so great. I wish I could have a relationship that the way that theirs sort of progressed. It was very natural and quite great, actually. All right, my thoughts at the end of this film. Okay, I felt super sad after watching the film for the first time. Okay, you know, the ending where his girlfriend, I guess, just walks past and sees the fact that he's just been killed, and she doesn't even know him yet. She's never gonna end up meeting him. It's so sad. It's literally like enough to make me cry right now, guys. Guys, it's enough to make me cry right now. Sorry, but it really tugs on my heartstrings. Having to know that relationship that they had will never happen, and seeing it being prevented, it's quite frankly heartbreaking. But I think that, in fact, no. I've got a fun fact, I guess. If you watch this film and you haven't looked much into it, then I guess this is a sort of fun fact. People might know this already. I'm not sure. But here's a fun fact to end off. The second sort of bully, sorry. I always mispronounce that word. It's probably my accent. But the second bully, he's a bit like stockier. He's sort of like the sidekick bully, I suppose. I don't know. There's two of them. But yeah, I'm sure you know which one I mean when I say the second one. But that is actually a young Seth Rogen. Before he was famous, obviously now he's done a lot of stuff, I think. I haven't actually seen anything he's been in, to be honest. But does a lot of comedy stuff now, and I think he's a director. But yeah, before he was famous, he was a character in Donnie Darko. Anyway, that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed my little talk about Donnie Darko, and hopefully you could see the passion for film I have about this film. I do really like this film. It's something very different, and I guess I kind of like it. I kind of like it about the fact that it's different. Anyway, have a nice day, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.